everybody. I almost forgot my coffee. Happy Friday! What was my song? Make new friends, make new friends, make new friends on Friday. Now I just have to record that and have that be my intro. But I think that's gonna stick. Makes me happy. You guys, so excited today. So excited. I am bringing on someone that I have been inspired by for quite a long time, and was very nervous to reach out to her the first time I reached out to her, and it turns out that just like me, she's a totally normal human being who actually likes talking to other people. And it was just fantastic. So I'm just so excited to get to bring Lee of Coco Crochet Lee on today, to chat about her journey and all of that. So please give her a warm welcome. She is already here. She is on it. So let's bring her in. Oh, and I didn't even have my notes ready for today. We'll have plenty to talk about. Okay. And just so you guys know, be sure to place questions in the actual question box for us because I don't want to miss them. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. My earbuds kicked out. I don't know why.
Ow. Yeah, I have my headphones always just in case I feel like I can't focus. It usually makes it a little easier. How are you?
I'm super good. How are you?
Getting the coffee in, even though it's already noon.
Yeah. That was me this morning. The first thing I do, coffee right away.
Yes, immediately. Yeah, and I can't wait. I think I slept in one day and the dogs are on a pretty regular schedule. And I was like, they can wait till I get the coffee going.
Of course. Priorities.
Yes. Well, I have to say, because I haven't gotten to tell you in person, I guess. I mean, we had our little chat before this, but I love your hair so much.
Oh, thank you. I was actually just telling a friend yesterday that little kids love it. So when I'm walking around stores, like little kids will be like, I like your hair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the last person who commented on mine was someone who was probably in their 80s.
Yeah.
And was just like, it's amazing. I feel like I'm too old. I was like, you're not too old. It would just be even easier because now your hair's white. So you don't even have to, bleach it.
That's just there's like the most random thing happened before we moved when we were still in Ontario, but I was getting into my car and someone shouted at me and I didn't understand what they said. And so I went, oh, pardon? And they're like, can't you decide? Okay, bye.
Yeah, thanks. That's
yeah,
awesome.
but not really. But I don't know you.
Yeah. What made you try that? Because I know you've dyed your hair, and I think you've done fun colors in the past, right?
Yes.
What made you decide to go two-tone?
I've been dyeing my hair since I was in grade like 7, I think it was. My uncle came to visit from Vancouver and took me to the hair salon as like a haha, I'm gonna dye my niece's hair and punish my sister, basically. Like it was the greatest day. I was so excited. And I dyed my hair bright orange, and it was right in time for my mom's graduation from law school. So like flaming orange hair, and my uncle was like,
oh, that's fantastic.
So my family's so fun that way. But I've had all kinds of different colors, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know what made me decide to do half and half. I think I must have seen pictures or something on Pinterest and decided. But I've really I've gotten very attached to it. So I've kept it longer than most colors that I usually keep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it had been I think 2 years since I had pink hair.
yeah.
And I'm so happy that I don't know what it is, but it's like you look in the mirror and it's just like, this is just me.
Cheerful.
You get attached. You do.
Yeah. I definitely, yeah, it's definitely one of those things that, makes you feel more you and makes you feel happy. So
Yes.
I like it.
Me too. Well, I'm so happy to have you here and have you on. It means the world. I think it's one of those things, and we've talked about it a little bit, like just chatted, through Messenger about what can happen sometimes when you get to a point, especially on social media, where you have a lot of followers and people almost kind of put you up at this level where it's like, this is not someone who is going to interact with me. This is not someone who is going to talk to me. And just so everyone's listening knows, the first time I reached out to Lee, I I was interested in like one of my big goals is writing a book, and I knew that she had had a few books published, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to send her a message. I want to know how she did it because obviously you've had some really great ones, and you guys, Lee responded like immediately, and it was just it changes your perspective, and it just reminds you like you can't put that wall up or assume things about people in this community, and you can't be afraid to just reach out if you want to ask someone something. So thank you for that, and thank you for coming on. But this is about you today, and I would love if you would let everyone know just a little bit about who you are and what you do for anyone who has not been following Lee. And then we'll talk a little bit about your journey.
Sure. So from the beginning, from I don't know.
Sure. We have time. We have an hour.
Okay, well, I grew up in Ontario and we just moved to Halifax, so we moved kind of across Canada. But when I was in Ontario, I went to university for visual arts and communication, so like big paintings and big drawings, but also advertising and marketing and things like that. So it was a very fun time. And right at the end of university, right when I was writing my final exams, I think I wrote my final exam December 16th or December 18th, and I had my first baby on January 29th. So I was walking around with belly, kind of handing exams, handing papers, and baby number one was very unexpected. And so my now husband, because we didn't get married right away, we did everything backwards. We kind of he did like the retail thing, and I tried to figure out what to do with like this art stuff that I had and this baby. So I ended up taking a crochet class. And I really liked it, and it stuck. And I started, you start making things, you start doing those markets with the tables and, the displays and everything like that. You do the Etsy, you do the whole cycle.
It's a cycle, isn't it?
That whole, step by step. It's like a crochet guide, really. But yeah, I started kind of applying to like internal jobs within the industry. So I started working at a magazine called Happily Hooked magazine, as like an intern entry level thing. And then I ended up becoming assistant manager of Happily Hooked magazine, or assistant editor, sorry.
I didn't realize that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really fun job. And that's where actually I met Ron Strong, my best friend. And he and I ended up, along with Tony from TL Yarn Crafts, we all ended up on Knit and Crochet Now, which is the PBS television show. And so, so for the past couple of years, I got to hang out with Ron and Tony and film for Create TV and PBS, which was really cool. Really fun time. And that was before the pandemic, though. So the pandemic hit, the borders closed for Canada. Canada was extremely strict, so I haven't been outside of Canada since then, which is kind of a bummer, but I mean, everybody has pandemic stories, right? So, but yeah, aside from that, right when the pandemic hit, I got approached for my first book. So I started writing A Modern Guide to Textured Crochet, which came out the following year. And then halfway through writing that book, I was approached by a completely different publisher to write Harry Potter Crochet Wizardry with the Wizarding World, which was very cool. So that came out shortly after my first book. So they both kind of came out back to back. I just wrapped up on another book with Warner Brothers, which will be out after Christmas. I can't tell you what the name is yet, but
Secrets.
it's really cool. And then I'm also working on another book right now, and we have two more coming after that. So
That's so exciting.
yeah, it's really, really fun. It's just been a blast. It's kind of like one thing after the next, and just super fun, honestly.
Well, I remember chatting with you a little bit, and I would love for you to share. Um, you said that when you started the TV show, and I'm guessing it's the same one, we talked about this, but that you actually, I don't know, you said you were maybe at the post office or somewhere, and someone recognized you, and you were just like, oh, no, no, So what was that like, especially because it was a smaller area
Um,
and,
This happened to me a couple times, like not like I'd say maybe three
yeah,
times, like
yeah,
in total,
yeah.
where somebody recognizes me, and a lot of the times it's either when I'm with my husband Sean or I'm with Emma Noel, my teenager,
Mhm.
and I have like a bit of an out of body experience where I don't remember what I said or how I acted or anything that I did. And so after the person that I assume I was very friendly to and you know they said wonderful things, after they're gone, I turn to my kid or my husband and I'm like, how did I do?
Yeah.
What did I say? Did I say anything stupid? And they're like, "Oh, you did great. You made it a little weird,
Yeah.
but you did
Yeah.
great." Okay, great. Perfect.
That's awesome. By the way, someone asked me what I'm drinking. Just so y'all know, this is just coffee. It's just coffee. That's all. Coffee. Little milk in there. But that's it. Just so you know. I don't think anyone's asked me that on a live before, so I figured I should answer just in case. It is
Yeah,
not alcohol. It is noon. That wouldn't be awful, but just
sure.
coffee. So I would love, because this is something, and we could probably do a whole live about this, and I would love to if you're ever interested, but talking about your experience with book writing, because I know that I can't be the only one who that is something that I would love to do one day. Um, and I know, it's a big undertaking. And so I would love if you wanted to share a little bit about that experience, the experience you've had with book writing and what that has meant to you and done for you, and if that's something you would want to continue doing.
Sure. The first book that I wrote was it was like a stitch guide, so it was
Mhm.
like 40 different stitches and divided into I think six chapters and a project for each chapter. And they approached me. So a lot of people ask like, "Oh, how do I like
Mhm.
apply to make a book?" And I honestly don't know. Like I don't know the answer to that. I do suspect though that if you follow different publishers like Insight Editions, David and Charles, Page Street Publishing, Abram Books. Those are all different like publishing houses.
Mhm.
And I know that sometimes they do calls for submissions. So I didn't I didn't apply for any, but like recently I saw through like an email list that I must have been added to from one of these publishers that they were looking for book submissions. So if
Oh,
you
cool.
had an idea, you could like submit to it, and kind of go about it that way, almost like a pattern submission, but I guess it would be a whole book submission. So
Mhm.
you'd have to have like a cohesive idea and really like put a lot of thought into it. But I'm very lucky, and I know that like I'm very lucky in that I didn't have to do that for mine. And they asked me, and basically just like for the first book they were like, oh, we're looking for kind of like a stitch guide, and I had to kind of go from there and make it my own. So I made it about the seasons and broke it up and submitted like my ideas of how I'd like it to be.
Yeah.
So that was that. And then for the second book with Warner Brothers for Harry Potter, they're obviously like, it's Harry Potter. So, that one was pretty easy. I didn't have to come up with like a concept or anything. Um, so that one was really cool too. And that one, That one more so than the Stitch Guide kind of opened the doors for more IPs,
Mhm.
which is kind of how I've gotten into like a niche of doing IPs, which is like licensed products.
Okay.
So uh, like intellectual property is IP.
Yes.
So like characters, things from movies, anything that has like a copyright. So the
Hmm.
IP will approach me now and like say, oh, hey, like we
Yeah.
saw your Harry Potter book. Can you do this too? Or can like, so that's kind of how it's been going now. So once you do something, it kind of opens the door for more opportunities,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yes, and it sounds like and I think some of my question, because we chatted again a little bit before, it sounds like some of these projects are more difficult than others. Is that
Yeah, that is extremely true. I'm actually in the thick of it with one right now.
Mhm.
And it's a solo project where the ones with Warner Brothers are group projects. So I get to ask, my friends and other designers to like submit like Emily from Hooked Hazel has a blanket in my Harry Potter book and different things like that, right? So it's like
Yeah.
I do a lot of it, but some other designers help out. So it's kind of like spreads out the work a little bit. But for the one that I'm doing right now, it's it's all me and it's really hard. And it's taking up all my time. And I can't have my long nails because I can't
Uh,
do like the
yeah.
things with it. Um, and it's honestly like it's the hardest project that I've ever done. So I'm gonna be
Yeah.
really proud of this over.
Do you enjoy the challenge? Is it something that feels fulfilling, or, I mean, I'm sure it's a balance, but
Yeah, I do enjoy the challenge. The thing about writing a book specifically for me is that it's a little bit it narrows like your work life
Mhm.
because right now all of my attention is on this book, right? And I'm only working with one person, my editor. Like that's the
Yeah.
only person that I'm working with at the moment. Like it's so so if I can go days without having any emails or feedback from her, but then I could have days where we email back and forth like 20 times because there's some sort of issue or something needs to be worked out.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit more isolating, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like I like working with lots of people. I miss doing the lives. I miss doing like I don't know. It's fun, but it's not fun at the same time, to be completely honest, if
Yeah.
people are curious. Like,
Yeah. Well, and you said you had to put your lives on hold because of the move, right? And it has stayed
yeah,
that way because of this new project.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 It takes up a lot of time. So like Instagram, the reality versus the Instagram beautifulness, right? Like big projects take a lot of work and a lot of effort and it's a job still. Like you have to really just like any other job. Like if you're a doctor, you have to like I'm not saying that this is equivalent to doing surgery, but with anything there's always, challenges and hurdles and positives and negatives.
So someone just said, I love this comment, not focused, she said Harry Potter, and my teen daughter said, she is that crochet person. She made that.
I think I have it right here. Hang on. Oh, damn. It's right
There
there.
it is.
That's
Yes.
my yeah. It's great, right? It's really cool. My family, we're all big Harry Potter fans. Um, it's beautiful in that we were able to make the Harry Potter crochet book and my trans teenager was able to kind of enjoy it and be part of the process and feel part of the Harry Potter fandom and feel loved and
Yeah.
it was a wholeheartedly like labor of love in order to make
Mhm.
sure that Emma Noel felt like they could be part of this, So like Emma Noel still wears like Harry Potter socks and like we do funny jokes from Harry Potter all the time, like, Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire? And stuff like that. And it's definitely one of those things, right, where it's some positive, some negative, but we try to focus on the positive and
Yeah.
um everything when you're a trans teenager is a struggle anyway. So we try to make life as beautiful as possible for Emmanuel. And if this is something that they love, then, you know, we're here for it.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I think in the world that we live in today, and I see that with your feed and your content in general, that there is that focus on positivity, and I think you need it. I think we all need a little bit more positivity and a little bit more focus on creativity and the creative outlets and supporting each other and lifting each other up and being happy and and I think I couldn't imagine right now with what you're going through because you are such a um uh approachable person. Like you put yourself out there honestly. And I think like what you were saying, how right now it's difficult because you're working on a project that you can't really talk about, And so that balance between trying to be honest, like that it's not all sunshine and rainbows right now, but I'm really trying to be positive when you can't talk about it, like that's gotta be hard.
It is. Well, just because Instagram and like social media in general is like so full frontal, right? Like you're supposed to be able to share everything. And I actually enjoy that part. I find
Yeah.
being part of the community is the appeal because crocheting
Mhm.
is such a, at home by yourself situation. So it's nice to
Mhm.
be, part of a group of friends and see what other people are doing and be able to share what you're doing and all that stuff. And so, I mean, I can't wait until I can share
Yeah.
more. That'll be
What
fun. It will be fun.
what has been, and I'm going to go through a few, like I say, simple questions,
Yeah.
but I think they're fun. Um, what has been probably, and you can maybe choose two or three if you have to, because I know this is going to be a difficult question. um, what has been your most favorite finished product that you have made? And if you can't choose one, like I said, you can choose like a top three if you have to. But to finished product, favorite thing you've made doesn't have to be a pattern or anything. It could be one of your. I know you've done some of those prize winners where you would create a finished piece for them. It could be
Oh
something like that.
yeah. Oh, the Hocus Pocus spell book.
I
That
wondered.
was so fun. That was such a fun project and it turned out so good. And I gave it away because that was the whole point, right? Just to make something for
Mhm.
fun and give it to somebody who asked for it. That was really fun. Um, I love my coatigans that I made during the summer. So there was a festival coatigan. It's like it's oh I can't pull it down. But then there was also the Granny Square one. It was like a big
Mhm.
sweater coat.
Uh-huh.
I love those. And probably like from my books, the Sorting Hat and the Dobby. Those
Mhm.
I put so much effort into making Dobby's face look like him that
Yeah.
like it was just like a big point of pride that I got it that close where I'm like, oh, he looks so good. I'm so excited. It's like a good challenge where you're like, I
Yeah.
feel like I got this.
That's awesome. What
Yeah.
has been your favorite collaboration that you've done?
Uh, favorite collaboration. Oh, I did in the not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before, I did the Grinchmas. So Dr. Seuss and I worked on the ugly Christmas sweater for the Grinch. And
Oh,
it
that's so
was
cool.
really fun. Yeah, so Dr. Seuss somehow I don't know how they found me. They reached out. I didn't think it was real. I read the email and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss.
Right.
Sure.
Do you need
But
money? Are you
yeah,
asking for
it was
money?
real. It was amazing. They were like, hey, do you want to do like an ugly sweater based on the Grinch? And I'm like, do I ever?
That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, it was so fun. So we did like a live on the official Dr. Seuss Facebook page where I got to make an ugly Grinch sweater. And it was so funny because like it was like my post for my ugly sweater and then under my post on the Dr. Seuss Facebook page was Jack Black reading the Grinch book. Like they're just like, what is life? Like what is
Yeah.
this? What is my life?
You just
Just
said, so is Jack Black going to come on the and crochet with us? Is that happening?
it was just really cool and like it was just one of those things where I'm like this is like probably one of the cooler things that I've ever been asked to do. I was so nervous but it was great.
So Francis Metallo says the Hobby Holly doll you made me, I will always treasure, and you said it challenged you.
It did, yeah. Fran's one of the people that has been a really good friend for the past couple years and she won one of my giveaways where I made like basically the giveaway was like, I'll make you whatever you want.
Mhm.
That was it. There was like no, as long as it's not offensive in any way, like
Yeah.
you, anything you want. So that's how the Hocus Pocus book got made. And then Fran asked for a Holly Hobby, which I didn't know what it was. So I had to,
Google.
research it. And it was really challenging because it required like a lot of sewing, which I'm not like a sewing machine person.
Mhm.
I wish I was, but so it really challenged me, and it was a good one. That was a good one. Hi, Fran.
Do you have a sewing machine? So, or did you have to do it all by hand?
I did it by hand.
Yep, I have one, but I don't use it very often. Like maybe once a year, I'll bring it out and try my hand at it again. But I can never seem to get the tension right on the sewing machine. So
I
I'm
don't
like,
even
well,
try.
crochet. Yeah.
And then Noelle has one. My teenager in the
Okay.
basement, they have one in their room. They have like a whole sewing desk with all kinds of fabric and everything, and they're really good.
That's awesome.
Making things. They made like a big marshmallow peep, like a yellow marshmallow peep, and this is amazing. And, yeah, they like the sewing stuff. They're better at it than me.
Okay, so someone just asked, how many hours a day do you crochet?
That's a really good question. I was actually thinking about that the other day because uh it's hard to explain, but when we just moved here in February for like to move to Halifax, and it was because my husband finally graduated from university and got a full-time job with the government, right? So yeah, super exciting. And so, but prior to February, I had been working my absolute tail off to like pay our rent and pay for groceries and try to make everything keep the lights on basically.
Yeah.
At our house while he was in university because he was a full-time student. He wasn't earning any money. And so I was crocheting from like morning to night, sometimes not sleeping. But I also had a part-time job with the city, so I was doing a satellite city hall job on the evenings and weekends.
Wow.
So yeah, so not very many people know exactly how hard I was working, but I was in like full like zombie mode, like yeah, like just jumping from one thing to the next. Like, okay, I have to go to work and like I need to get this done and I have to publish this blog and maybe I can do it both at the same time. And like it was pretty crazy. I was really lucky at my city job to have really good friends. So I would be working beside my boss, Mel, and I would be like at my desk while there were no customers and I'd be writing a blog. And I could just kind of like see her like, that's not work related. And I'm like, just like typing, like trying to get it done. So, but we made it. And so in February, we moved to Halifax. Sean has a full-time job now. And now I'm trying to like figure it out where I'm like, I can't keep going at that pace because it was too difficult. Plus, I don't really want to, right? So now I'm kind of doing like I'm trying out a 8 o'clock when my son goes to school till 4 o'clock when my husband's done work, and trying to like get as much done between those hours as I possibly can, and then trying to give myself a few like hours in the night to go for a walk. Can you imagine going for a walk? Like it's crazy.
Going outside.
Yeah. Exercise, what is that? And we've been watching Emma Noel and Sean and I have been watching Doctor Who in the evenings. We started from the beginning and we're watching all of Doctor Who. So it's new for Emma Noel, but Sean and I have seen it before. So that's been really fun. And like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll grab some crochet and like get some stitches done while we're watching Doctor Who. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna enjoy the moment. And
Yeah.
Emma Noel has been coming and like sitting like on my legs on the couch lately. And like before I would have all my stuff and like Emma would sit like in a different spot. But like lately they have been coming and like kind of curling up on me and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. What have I been missing?
Because usually I'd be like, I can't, I have to go, I have to go do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to make more time.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you said about, you've almost started like a little tradition right now of watching Doctor Who. And I think that probably helps a lot of like, if it was just, we're just having TV time, or just after dinner time, but saying like, no, we're going to sit through and watch all of these. I think that really helps with shutting off work, and because when it's crochet is your job, it's, and that's actually a question that leads me into, do you have any current or future plans in the near future for personal projects? Do you have any personal projects happening with crochet, or right now is it all work?
It's all work. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, I really want to knit like just a yellow blanket or a pair of socks or
Mhm.
just anything. But I have contracts back to back to back to back. And like sometimes contracts start like bleeding into each other where I'm doing two things at the same time, which
Yeah.
is wonderful. And I am so grateful for all of the opportunities that have come my way
Mhm.
you know, from all of these different places.
Yeah.
And the work is extremely enjoyable, but every once in a while I'm like, ooh, that's a nice pair of socks. Like I would like to make those socks,
Yeah.
and I just never have a chance to do it. So it's kind of a bummer sometimes.
Is that future plans? Are there
I guess,
future plans to slow
yeah,
down a little and give yourself some personal
some
fiber
socks.
time?
Yeah. Some knitted socks. It's in my future eventually.
Well, now I think you'll just have to buy them from someone. You'll commission someone
Yeah.
to make you some socks.
Yep. Sounds great.
So, I had someone ask your favorite fiber to work
Mhm.
with, and I would love for that to also be like if you've used a yarn, even if it's like something that's been discontinued. Like I know for me, I have a few yarn that like I would say it's my favorite yarn, but they don't even make it anymore. So,
Yeah.
you want to talk a little bit about some of the yarn that you've used?
Right now for the book that I'm working on, I'm using We Crochet palette yarn in fingering weight, and that's like the entirety, like that's all. But the crazy thing is that it's called palette because it has so many shades. Like
Hmm.
you can find any color, and I'm working on specifically amigurumi. So like I've
Hmm.
been able to like match all of these colors to perfection with all of the shades that are available from We Crochet. And I've been working with this one worker from We Crochet, and eventually after going back and forth a few times about these amigurumi that I'm doing for this book, she's like, "Oh, did you know that we have like a sample of all the colors like on a color wheel that I can send you?" And I was like,
Oh,
"What?" Hang on, I show you. It's so
yes, that's
cool.
so cool.
Yeah, it's really, really neat. So it's like it's the palette, and then they have all of the shades that you could ever want.
Whoa.
So it's like it's literally like a little sample of all of the yarn. And so it was really good for me to match like everything that I was looking
Yeah.
for. And then I was able to tell her like, oh, I want hyacinth. Like,
Yeah.
can you send me, some hyacinth? So I've been obsessed with this yarn We Crochet palette. It's amazing. Solid
That's
and
super
heavy
cool.
colors. So that's my
Yeah.
favorite one right now. And
Okay.
it's great.
And how do you feel about working with the tiny? I know for me, it's like, no, no tiny yarn.
Well, that's the problem is I can't tell you exactly what I'm working on, but I can tell you
Yeah.
it's like really small amigurumis, and I'm using a 1.5 millimeter crochet
Oh
hook.
my
So it's like the size of
God.
it's like it's insane. It's
Woo!
so small. Where is it? Is it here? It's like it's the head of a pin basically.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
it's so
Huh.
small. So I'm trying to like make all these tiny little pieces, and I couldn't have my nails on anymore because I literally couldn't hold everything with my long nails.
Yeah.
Like trying to crochet, and like I just couldn't anymore. So I had to take them off. I was like going in slow motion trying to do like six single crochet in a ring, like a magic ring. So I had to take them off and do it. That's I lost my nails for the time being. They'll be back, but
Someone said
it's
magnifying glass time. So,
yeah. And then I do so much of it, and I've been doing so many of the amigurumi that I have like a yarn line from the tension going across my
yeah.
fingers. So it's kind of like an indent, almost like when you have a wedding ring and you have an indent from your ring. I have
Yes.
a yarn line going across my finger now. Where I'm like,
You're married to it now. You're married to the project.
I am married to it.
Oh
That's
man.
fun.
So, someone asked about inspiration, and right now you're having to work on projects that are kind of like you said, it's laid out. You know what you have to make. But when you've been working on projects that were either personal or you had to come up with the ideas, where are some of the places that you get inspiration?
Um, I think what happens for me for inspiration is I look at a lot of like fashion houses
Mm.
and see like, oh, that's really cool. Like I bet you I can make something like really similar
Yeah.
or like make it my own. And that's kind of where like the Granny Square Duster, the Coatigan came from. Like I think I saw like, some sort of festival fashion where I'm like, oh, these are great. I would
Yeah.
love one of those. So a lot of the times it's just like, what do I want to wear? And then I'll kind of make it.
Yeah.
And for blankets, it's more, I really like blankets that will last for a few generations, if that makes sense. My mom,
Mhm.
before I was born, was a crocheter. So she had a one or two blankets and we kept them for so long. And it's just really cool to be able to like have those and still be able to enjoy them. So a lot of my blankets are more kind of heirloom inspired rather than, what's current and super cool.
Yeah. That's really neat. I like that.
Yes.
Um, so with the community, the fiber community, I kind of wanted to see if you wanted to talk a little bit about um, your favorite parts of being a part of the crochet community and kind of what that has done for you personally outside of it being your job, but more so of just the community in general.
Uh, I don't, it's kind of hard to explain, but like it kind of goes with the how we were talking before about how crocheting is a very solitary activity. So it's,
Mhm.
you're on your own, you're crocheting and making something at home. But with, Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, there's other people who are doing the same thing that want to connect. And I've been so lucky to make some amazing friendships throughout the past, however many years I've been online. And it's great too because you make new friends all the time and it's really wonderful and it's amazing. I was talking to Sean about this, my husband, because he's not a social media person in the slightest. Like he doesn't have a single
Mhm.
presence. I think he has
Mhm.
an Instagram
Yeah.
that he has one picture posted and has the same picture of our son when he was a baby and our son is 10. So like, but Sean was telling me the other day that he's always really grateful when I post things about him graduating or about like us moving or anything like that, because then friends and family will message him and be like, oh my gosh, congratulations, buddy. Like I saw your wife's post and like, and then he gets to connect with people. So he's like, you do all the hard work. And then like
Yeah.
people come, people come and like say things to me and it's
Yeah.
wonderful. And people reach out. And that's the thing, right? People reach out. I think that's like one of the most beautiful things ever. And then for me, the whole journey with Emma Noel, first coming out as gay and then coming out as trans, it's wonderful to have people who understand and are supportive, and it's making it more enjoyable for us as a family to like be able to share and connect with people. And Emma Noel is like blossoming into this amazing person, and it's like it's just I'm so beyond grateful for the people who like just are like super are just like gunning for us, where they're like, you
Yeah.
guys can do it. You guys are great. Like keep going. And it does. It makes us feel like we can keep going. Like I can continue trying to figure out how to be a trans parent and like you don't always make the right decisions and you don't always do the right thing, but like the support group and the community
Mhm.
feeling, uh I see it with Emma Noel. Like when we did your shirts. Remember when we did
Mhm.
that post with your
Oh,
shirts? We
so
had
fun.
a freaking blast. That was so much fun. And like Emma Noel wears that shirt all the time. Like they like being part of it too. And it gives you that little bit of pride and that little bit of that sense that you're not on your own, which is I'm getting all choked up. I just think it's wonderful. Like I really do. I really think it's wonderful.
Well, I think that it just goes to show again, I think there's this dual thing that happens with social media where you get the super negative, but you also get the super positive. And I think with that focus on the positive, the ability to connect with so many more people that kind of understand what you're going through or are able to support you through. And this is anything in life. I mean, there's people who have rare diseases who now have support groups of people who are like, I know what you're going through. I mean, and so it's like you have this ability with social media to connect and to feel empowered to share what you're going through. And then, you find the support you need, but then you also are giving support to now more people. And it's like the snowball effect. And I think it's so much bigger than just the crochet community. I think people join this community for, this connection of like, we all do this same craft, but then you find out that, there are other ways that you're connecting with different people. And just the fact that you can share about your family and like everything that you guys are going through. I think it's great. And
I think it's great. There's the negative too. There's people who, people that don't know us, and there's some strange things that happen where you're like, wait a minute, these people don't have like any sort of history of who we are or like what we're doing or what kind of people we are. So then, you get like some weird comments, but like, I don't know, but most of the time people just unfollow if they don't agree with you or they they don't understand that it's mostly just like an unfollow, and then you kind of lose the negativity and you kind of have your tribe, so it's kind of nice that way, where most people just, if they are not accepting or if they just don't understand or they for some reason think that this is like a negative thing, you could just hit the unfollow button and be on your way and it's fine. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, I know that you guys are busy, all of you. But I did want to mention this because I wanted to mention this during our live. This is not something that we have officially announced yet. But the community aspect has always been a big deal for us. I know for me and my husband both. But we are going to be doing our second annual DIY hook challenge. And for anyone who's on here and you have not heard of it, we actually print these. I have one here. These white crochet hooks. And they are, you will have these available, but you pretty much just get to decorate a crochet hook and then you submit them, and we're going to have grand prizes. But I was going to say, if you and or Emmanuel want to participate, I know, like I said, I know you're super busy, but even if they just want to participate, I would love to have you guys be a part of the challenge this year.
Yeah, I well about it already. They're already thinking of ideas. So
oh, that's so awesome! Yes, so we are officially going to announce in June. So if anyone is interested, that's when hooks will start to be available. But yeah, it's the sky's the limit, and that's just getting creative. And I know I said Otterly Yarn said, "Woohoo! Love the DIY hook challenge." Yes, we started it last year. It turned out to be really fun, and again, it's this opportunity for people to get creative and connect just outside of crochet, because you're not actually crocheting with it; you're decorating it. So it's a little more fun for everyone. And this year, we're actually going to have a category for kids. And I say kids, I think I'm capping it at like 15 or 16 will be the kids category. But we wanted them to have their own category this year. So I think that'll be fun. They'll get their own grand prize. We're gonna have a grand prize winner for the kids category. And then we'll have 2 adult categories. But like I said, we'll have more info on it soon, but I wanted to bring that up to make sure that you guys knew. Really wanted y'all to be a part of it if you can, because we're excited. So
that's awesome. That's going to be super fun.
So, okay, let me see how much time we have. Okay, we have a little over 15 minutes. And I wanted to let everyone know who's listening, if you have any more questions for Lee while she's here, please pop them in the question box so I don't miss them, because, the comments go very quickly, so I don't always get to read them. I think I answered all of the ones. I think we asked all of the ones that were in the question box now. But I think that Lee has a surprise for everyone who is with us today. So if you want to talk about that, and like I said, y'all can share questions while she's talking about it.
Sure. So, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
And to say thank you to everybody that watched today, I'm giving away a copy of my first book, which is A Modern Guide to Textured Crochet. It has 40 stitches, 40 different crochet textures based on the season. So spring, summer, winter, fall. So this is like a summer seashell.
Oh,
And then there's a bunch of projects inside too. This one's strawberries. So that's the
oh,
summer
that's
chapter.
awesome.
So we're going to give away a copy. We're going to send it to you. And the way to enter is I'm going to put a story question in my stories on my Instagram page. And you have to answer it with the secret password, which I'm going to give you right now. And the secret password is going to be texture. So
Okay.
that's what you have to put in the story question box that will appear in my stories after this live video. And in order to win, you have to follow both Evelyn and myself.
That's so exciting, and thank you so much for doing that. That's fantastic.
It's
Um,
very
we did have one. Let's see. One weekend, you have a little bit of time, so let's see. This question is: who has inspired you the most?
Ooh, who has inspired me the most? Hmm, that's
That's a
so
tough one.
hard.
That's a tough one. I know.
I'm trying to think. There's so many amazing accounts and like I love me an underdog, so I get really excited when like somebody's like really trying hard and doing their best and like you can really see it shining through. Um, so I don't know. I just get inspired mostly by other people expressing their happiness like so genuinely. Like I find that to be like one of the best human traits, you know?
Yeah.
So just in general, like when I open my Instagram and I see like somebody posting, could be anybody, it doesn't have to be a big account. I follow all kinds of people and I'm sure you guys do too, but like just to see that, that spark of creativity and that joy and sometimes people sharing their struggles and things like that, I just find it all super inspiring.
Do you have someone in your life outside of the community that has been a big inspiration for what you do now?
Ugh. I have a few. So I'll say the main duo is my mom and my brother. My mom, I posted in my stories just recently that my mom went from being a single mom of five of us on welfare to graduating law school and doing it in her 40s. So like I attended her law school graduation with my orange hair, like and we were
Amazing.
we were so poor that like she had to get church sponsored Christmas meals. We had absolutely nothing when I was a little kid. So, and then we ended up, she was a lawyer. So by the time I was a teenager, we had like a minivan and new pants and like the weirdest stuff where like, but we were so appreciative of it, my
Yeah.
brothers and I, we were like, wow, this is like really started from the bottom and it was all because of her. Like she worked so hard. And the whole time she was the mom to my brother who is autistic. And he is an artist as well. He draws just like the most incredible machinery, planes and trains, and he has a photographic memory. So he'll watch a plane fly
Wow.
by in the sky and he'll remember the like writing on it. Same with trains, like the nuts and bolts
Yeah.
and everything, he'll remember it. So incredible. And they're a duo because she will always have him. He's never going to be alone. Like he'll never live on his own. He's always going to be with her. So
Yeah.
like if she goes for coffee, Ronnie's there too, getting coffee. Like she brings him everywhere. And I just am so inspired by them because they're both like the most adorable people and Ronnie's such a happy guy and all he wants to do is draw. He's like so happy if he has pens and paper and my mom is always just like she's a trooper. So I feel like that's what keeps me going where I'm like, if they can do it, if my mom can do that, I can I can get through whatever this is.
Yeah. I feel like I see that. I see both of those in you because you have the artistic side, and I think it has to have affected you watching your mom go through that and
Mhm.
get through that. You know, I mean, like you said, graduating from law school at that point after going through what she had been through with raising you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
and then hearing about how you were working your tail off and working a part-time job and having kids and, supporting your husband through, through school. So, I mean, you see it and it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't think, I think it's a blessing when, despite the hardships, I think it's such a blessing to have people in your life that you get to witness working so hard in that way. I mean, I think it makes a difference in who we are as we get older and that work ethic, you know.
Yeah. It's true. And it also gives you an insight into just being like your most genuine self, and being kind in it. And, it kind of goes, hopefully hand in hand, like your most genuine self is a truly kind self. But growing up with an older brother who is severely disabled is like, it really shows you, it gives you perspective, right? On like, is this really a big deal? Like, whatever
Mhm.
this issue that I'm dealing with, it's not really. Or like, watching her go through that stuff where you're like, oh, she did it. I can do this. It kind of gives you that kind of perspective. So it also makes you look at people differently too. Like, like if you're, experiencing something in customer service, you treat everyone around you in kindness because, or it doesn't even have to be like that, but just treating genuinely other people with kindness. I feel like that's the big takeaway with people in my life, and I'm really excited to get to be a part of people's lives like that.
Yeah.
And like Emma Noel too, where like Emma Noel is allowed to be their most genuine self, and you're kind of watching them thrive. It's it's a joy and a privilege to be able to be a part of it.
Um, Sorry, I lost my train of thought. That's just wonderful. Having to like digest everything.
It's so true
So,
though, right? Like it's nice to be part of it. Did I make you cry a little bit?
no. No, but I wouldn't be surprised if you did, honestly, because it's very easy for me to. I just ask my husband. It's like any movie that we watch that is even like remotely sweet or sad or anything. It's like multiple times he looks over at me like, seriously, really? Yes,
Oh, it's fine. It's
yes,
totally fine.
seriously.
It's
I'm
not
like,
like
it's just so
I
sweet.
do the same thing. I do the exact same thing.
Well, Not Focused said that you made me cry. So even if you didn't make me cry, you made somebody cry. So, but that's good. It's good tears. It's good tears, right? I mean,
Of course, of
it's
course.
the feels. It's the
It's
feels.
feel.
We give each other the
Yeah.
feels. Um, and I think, so someone also said, Not Focused said, I'm the single mom trying so hard to make life better for my kids. And I think that's where I know for me, someone, we don't have children. And I think for me, as someone who doesn't, the best thing that I can see is people wanting to be a part of their kids' lives,
Hmm.
wanting to help them be their best selves, wanting
Yeah.
to nourish their creativity, wanting them to feel like their life has meaning and that they can thrive, they have room to grow, they can be whatever they want to be. And that's the best feeling I can have. No matter where you are in your life, what your financial situation is, what your life situation is, um, the best thing that you can do for your kids is just around them, be with them,
Yeah.
talk to them, interact with them, play with them. Um, and I think that's we can end this out. I would love to know what are some of the favorite activities and things that you do with your kids on a regular basis, or maybe even like if you have one big event that you'll always remember that you got to do with them. What are some of those things?
Uh, it's it's not so much like big events, it's more just like little moments. So we play like board games every once in a while. So we play like Settlers of Catan, and like watching my kids like try to be ruthless and like win games is hilarious. Um, But it's like when Emma Noel makes like a really witty joke where I'm like, dear Lord, that was like the smartest and funniest thing I've heard all day. And like, I made you. Like, that's amazing. Like, are you so cool? And we just went recently. We just moved, and so we had to go to a brand new parent-teacher interview thing.
Hmm.
And watching Emma Noel interact with all of their new teachers and like all the little like side jokes that they have with people. There's one teacher that Emma Noel has named Monsieur Noel, and
Hmm.
on a daily basis they rock paper scissors to see who gets to be called Noel for the day. So if Monsieur Noel loses, he's just Mister.
Oh,
He's
that's
just Mister.
funny.
Yeah, so they play that and like it's just great. Like uh it's great to see your kids be themselves and show who they really are. Like my son is the most cuddliest, adorable little guy. He's 10
Ugh.
and he's also extremely thoughtful and he asks really thoughtful questions where like Em and Noelle always seems to have like all the answers. They don't ask a lot of questions because they already know. It's like they're the oldest soul ever. And then my son is like brand new. So like
Yeah.
everything is like what is this and why does it do that and what does it mean? And I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to like talk to you about this because he's just so like he's just like this cute little he just wants to be filled up with all of this knowledge and it's very exciting to chat with him. Sometimes we can go for a walk and like chat for half an hour straight. So it's great.
What is the sibling relationship like?
Oh, typical siblings. They
Yeah.
yeah, they fight. They're 4 years apart, so sometimes they get along, but most of the time it's like, well, you let Noelle have that and things like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
or Noelle did that first, and then yeah, so they fight all the time. It's pretty funny.
Well, before we go, let's see. Yeah, we've got about 5 minutes. I would love for you if you'd like to take some time, um, and for anyone who's listening, whether you are new to the crochet community, if you just have any advice for people who maybe have just joined the community or if they, are looking to be somewhere like you are when it comes to doing this as a business or not, but just any advice for them. I know that's kind of general, but
Uh, I think I would say don't be afraid to take risks. um, is like my biggest piece of advice. So like, the first time that a book publisher reached out to me, I had never written a book before. I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know, what the ins and outs were. I had zero experience, but I'm like, I'm gonna say yes because I think I can do this. And it doesn't have to be something big like that. It's more just like, oh, I'm afraid to do Instagram Reels, but just kind of, take the plunge and give it a try and try not to worry what other people think as much.
Mhm.
um, and just try to take a risk. I feel like that's the best way to grow in anything is like take reasonable risks, not
Yeah.
dangerous ones, just reasonable risks. That's my best advice.
I love it. And I'm sure that that's probably advice that you give to your kids too, as they're learning, trying new things and trying to figure themselves out, is giving them that room to do that too. And to fail. I think that's a big part of that is knowing that when you take a risk, you could fail and that's normal.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it's failure's part of the process, that's for sure.
Well, and that's so do you have a moment where you failed at something and it can be in the crochet world and you had to kind of pick yourself back up and either try it again or move forward? Is that something, do you have a moment like that you could share?
Uh,
Or, I mean, you may never have failed at anything. That's normal too.
can you imagine? Amazing. I think more it wasn't so much of a failure as like I wish I had done more to prepare for releasing the Harry Potter book when it came out, in so far as it was like a global publish. but in my little world where we were working on it, we had really, straightforward ideas of why, why we were doing it and who it was for, and and the rationales behind it, but the outside world did not really understand that.
Hmm.
And so when it was released, it was like a lot of explaining to people who were maybe not as open to those reasons, as
That was,
inevitably, and it did like inevitably, like it worked out fine, like people were able to kind of understand, the whole point of view. But sometimes you forget, like when you're in your own social media bubble, about like the whole world out there is
yeah,
is a lot bigger, and may not have that prior knowledge, right? So
yeah,
that was a
that
little
was,
bit probably the biggest challenge.
I felt like that was difficult.
It
I
was
remember that was, I hadn't been following you for too long, and I don't know if I had even reached out at that point, to start a conversation with you. But I do remember there was a lot of negativity that happened.
rightfully
Um,
so, right, rightfully so. It's understandable. But I mean, it was one of the coolest things that we were able to do, and if people had known the reasons behind it, I think that, like, ahead of time, I think it would have been a lot smoother. But yeah.
I feel like you handled it really, really gracefully though, because and it's because you knew the reasoning. And I think
Mhm.
that's where, like you said, it could have been, helpful to maybe prepare more, but then again, even if you had, it's,
Yeah, right.
you
That's
knew
so
you
true.
knew why you did it. And I just remember you had kind of a some text that you were using to explain when people would comment. Um and it just, I think for the most part there are going to be people who, you can't sway people's
Hmm.
opinions one way or the other in certain
Yeah.
cases, but I do feel like you really did a good job of explaining the fact that, like, look, I had to think about this. This was a big decision. It had to be, in your case, a family decision of, should we do this? Is this going to be good for us? Um, let's see. Oh, someone, yes, same thing. So how would you have known how to prepare for something you'd never done? And that's true, not knowing how people were going to react. But I think you did a good job. And I think that the
Yeah.
people who know you guys and know your story and have connected with your family, that's who matters in the end, the people that support you guys.
Yeah.
And like you
True.
said,
Like,
focusing on the
I can
positive.
I can only control what I can control, right? So
Yes.
I was able to control something that was really important in my trans child's life,
Mhm.
and turn it into a positive experience for them that they'll remember forever.
Yep.
And it's something that they do still, like, love and appreciate, and it definitely mattered for us. And I can only, like, stretch that as far as it
Yep.
can go, and
Mhm.
I understand that it doesn't, go further than people who don't know us.
Yep.
But for us, it mattered, and it was a big deal, and it changed something, and it was important for us.
Well,
Yeah.
I love you guys so much, and you'll continue to inspire so many people because you've inspired me. And I'm just so thankful that you were willing to come on. Um, be sure to check Lee's stories after you get off of the live. And if you're just joining in or you missed it, there is a password hidden, a secret code word, hidden in this video. So you can go back and watch for it. And if you go to Lee's stories, she will ask for that secret passcode word, and you will be entered to win her first published crochet book.
Yeah.
So that's super exciting. I'll share it in my stories as well. Make sure you're following us. And until next time, we're gonna say goodbye for today.
Thanks
But
so
I'd
much.
love to have you on again, maybe to talk
Yeah,
about your new book once you can share that.
that'd
And
be
I would love to. We usually do updates during the DIY Hook Challenge, so once we announce that, if Emmanuel wants to go live, if we want to see progress, I think that would be super fun.
yeah.
And do some updates with some different people who are working on their hooks for the challenge. So
Sounds
um,
good.
we will talk very soon. Thank you again so much for joining, and
Thank
I hope
you.
everybody has a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You
Happy
too.
hooking, guys. Bye.
Bye.